Hi, welcome to Hey Tom, it's me Oprah. This is the first real video. This is chapter 1. It'll be in 2 parts and it's entitled You Can't Cut Wood with Your Hands. And since this is the first video, I want to tell you a little bit about how I will structure these moving forward. Each video will start with a sort of progress report, then switch to discussing strategy, and then suggest a change, something I'm going to do differently in order to pull this off. There won't be real progress in this opening video. I'll save that for next time. So I'm going to get right to strategy. And just in case you didn't see the first video, let me say what I'm up to here. I get to be the hero of this story, and I'm the hero in pain, and the pain is my having pursued a life outside of sort of like my true love, which was writing. I went to school for architecture, and it wasn't for me. It's not my thing. Writing is my thing, and I'm getting to it now, and I am manifesting this pain as a sort of absence of Oprah. So I'm going to get her to call me. She's going to leave me a voicemail, and I'm going to play it for you. When you hear that voicemail, you can assume I am drunk. The project is done, and I will never point a camera at my face again. And just one more thing I want to say as a qualification. I am not a professor. This is not a writing class. This is just one guy's efforts and the results. What is my strategy? I'm sure there are many writers out there who have already sort of figured out I'm not going to get a call from Oprah Winfrey by trying to get a call from Oprah Winfrey. If I set out to write a book that I hoped would be a Oprah Book of the Month, it's probably going to be shitty. That's just the wrong reason. So that's not going to work. That would be like trying to get a butterfly to land on you by chasing it. That's not how it's done. I'm going to have to conduct myself in such a way that the butterfly might look at me and think, why not? So that's what I'm going to do. This leads me to the first step. This is strategy. My strategy is to, more broadly, my strategy is to write a completely kick-ass book. Like, write something amazing, produce a meaningful book. But that's very vague. So specifically, step 1 is to be real. Be real. That is a lesson I learned right away in writing. And in order to give you a sense of how I learned it and what it means to me, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, it's story time. I'll use this fire as a nice backdrop. I have to tell you a little bit about a story I started to write and stopped, in spite of how much it meant to me, in an effort to make a larger point about my strategy of you can't cut wood with your hands. To set the stage for this, imagine me in my second semester at VCFA, Vermont College of Fine Arts. And this is how VCFA works. You are assigned an advisor who works with you one-on-one for 6 months. So who you get is really important. And I managed to get a very popular professor, Tim Wynne-Jones, which I was so excited about. And I was excited to share this work with him. It was a story I was writing for my daughter, Lucy, and it's a story about why do anything. And it centers on 2 sisters who are prodigies on violin. And the book is written by the older sister, Jennifer. And Jennifer is the one who wins all the competitions. She's older, and she's a technical marvel. It looks like my arm's on fire. She's a technical marvel on violin. There's nothing she can't play. But it's Izzy who really has music in her heart. It's Izzy who really feels, with a deep passion, what music can do. And so at the start of the story, they win a 2-year scholarship to continue their development on violin in Cremona, Italy, in preparation for a big competition. This is a real competition. It's like the Violin Olympics. It's called IVSI, which is International Violin Competition of Indianapolis. That's a real thing. And they're going to prepare for 2 years for this big competition. And Cremona is significant because it's the birthplace and location of the Stradivarius workshop of Antonio Stradivari, who was a luthier, violin maker, in the late 1600s. And those violins today are, well, they're not, I was going to say priceless, but they can be bought for multi-millions of dollars. Anyway, they're in Cremona, and they have to share a violin. Their mom bought them something at Sears, and they practice with it, and they're on the second floor, and they each have their own room with a little balcony, and the sound of their violin playing fills the historic center of Cremona, bouncing off the old cobblestones. And it's really quite beautiful. And it's not long before there's a knock on their door, and an old man is there, and he has a violin shop across the street, and he's so taken by their playing, he offers to allow them to play on his violin. He asks them, would you please play on my violin? And it's an original Stradivarius. And they agree, and they play on it, and it is magnificent, and it melts the old man's heart, and he is distraught to learn that they're only going to be there for 2 years. So he offers them a deal. He says, I'll bring the violin every day and leave it with you all day. You guys could play 4 hours apiece, and I'll listen. And the real kicker, whichever of you plays every day the full 4 hours without fail, when the 2 years is up, you can keep it. Well, that's obviously pretty exciting, and the girls start to play on the violin, and Jennifer's pretty smitten with it, and she imagines, with my technical ability, if I have this violin, I'll win IVSI. And Izzy falls in love with the violin on a completely different level, and for completely different reasons. And it becomes really hard for her when it's time to turn the violin over to her older sister to give it up. She starts begging for time from her sister, and Jennifer's no dummy, and she's interested in the old town. So she says, okay, you can play from my window today too, but you have to do my chores. And Izzy's like, done. And Jennifer hits the town. And then the next day she's like, I tell you what, you can play from my window for the rest of the week, but you have to do my chores for a month. And Izzy's like, done. So Izzy's playing out of both of their windows now, and Jennifer is traveling the streets of Cremona with her journal and just sort of recording everything that she sees. The old Roman fountains that still run with clear water, the smell of fresh baked bread, Alberto on a Vespa. And she's so smitten by the town, she decides on the ultimate con. And she says to Izzy, I tell you what, you can play for the rest of the time we're here. 2 years, you can have all of my time. You have to do my chores, of course. And on the last day, you have to miss out of your own window. I get the violin, and I play with it at IVSI. Done, says Izzy. So Izzy plays every day, all day, and Jennifer hits the town, starts to go through puberty. She records it all. And on the last day, Izzy keeps her word. She misses out of her own window. And the old man comes to the house, tears in his eyes, and he thanks them for the great gift that they gave him, and offers Jennifer the violin. And they fly back for the big day, and Jennifer plays at the competition on the priceless Stradivari. I should say Stradivarius. And she's pretty good. I mean, it sounds amazing, but she's a little out of practice. And Izzy is forced to play, on the family violin, the Sears Roebuck catalog, but she melts the walls, tears the place apart. Everybody is destroyed by the sound of her playing, in a good way. And she wins. And Jennifer is overcome by the experience as well, and it finally sort of dawns on her that Izzy is the one who came home from Italy with everything that she needed. And she realizes that the only reason to do anything is for love. And she needs to find that thing for herself. And Izzy offers to, Jennifer gives her the violin. Jennifer gives her the Stradivarius. And in return, Izzy offers to spend her prize money on a Mont Blanc pen for Jennifer to write in her journal. Famous Mont Blanc fountain pens constructed in Hamburg, Germany. But Jennifer says, no, you keep your money. I'm just fine with my Bic. I think I'll write a book. And it's the book you just read. And that's the story. And I loved everything about this story. It mattered to me a lot. And I couldn't wait to get Tim's comments. And for his convenience, because I didn't want him to be forced to repeat himself or run out of adjectives, I included in my email submission to him a link to a website pre-configured to provide synonyms for the word brilliant. And I'm gonna share. This is his feedback. This is Tim Wynne-Jones' actual feedback. This is very near and dear to me, this submission and this feedback. And I want to share one bit with you to make this point. First, I'm going to read a couple of sentences from my book, and then I'm going to tell you what he said. I run my hand along the top of my violin case. It's old, but beautiful. Olive and cedar wood, wrapped with leather and trimmed with brass. It's all handmade, the old-fashioned way. So's the violin inside it. My violin. My beautiful, exquisite, magical violin. Constructed with love, by hand. I can't stop thinking about that. No table saws or band saws or palm sanders. No electric tools at all. They're less useful without electricity. Just hands. Hands in love. And this is Tim's comment. A hand cannot cut a piece of wood. I don't get this. Maybe you're asking yourself a question I asked myself. Does my very popular advisor have brain damage? I'm not here to bash Tim Wynne-Jones, so I'll just leave that question unanswered for now. And what would I do with that? What could I do with that? Where do I take that to a productive place? But the more I read what he said, and the more I thought about this story, the more I got what was wrong. A story is a wrapper for your truth, something true about yourself that you believe, and you craft it, and you have to pick everything. You have to pick the characters, their personalities, the setup, the conflict, and then you wrap that around this truth that you believe, and you present it. And the simple truth is, all of it, the entire package must be real. It has to be authentic. It has to come from a place within you where there are no misses. And it wasn't. It wasn't at all. The simple truth is, there were some pretty sentences, but it's not good writing. And Tim was giving me the great gift. Sure, he was reading it as a professor, but he was giving me the gift of his reader. He was reading it as a reader, and he was not feeling it. I'm not a 12-year-old girl. I don't play violin. I've never been to Cremona. I've never seen a Stradivarius. Let me share some other notes here to show you what I mean. They were going on a long walk. This is a sentence. The Econo Lodge is over 20 blocks from the Hilbert Circle Theater, and we're on a tight budget. I don't mean tight like, will that last book fit on the shelf tight? No, I mean tight like a hanging man might describe his noose. And Tim asked, is this the voice of a 12-year-old? No, it's not. And there's another part. Right before 2, her hair matted to her forehead, her apron covered in attic dust. She set down a box and the last speck of surface left in the house. That's Jennifer describing her mom. And Tim asks, the trailer has an attic? Of course not. And it's as simple as that. I had lost him. It wasn't real. That's my point. I want to thank Tim Wynne-Jones. I did get permission from him to share that story with you. He's a brave and amazing man, and an amazing writer, and an amazing professor. I will include links to his latest novel, which is brilliant, and his website below. Please feel free to check him out. There is a cone of silence at VCFA. You do not share work or comments of the professors publicly, so I sought his permission, and he generously granted it. Thank you, Tim.